Hello Movie Mavens, welcome back to another video on the B Movies channel. My name is Bailey and I put the B in movies. I hope you were having a wonderful week. Myself and just about everyone I know, we're all having off weeks. Chalk it up to the eclipse, chalk it up to Mercury in retrograde, or both, because both are happening, but it's okay, we're gonna get through it. And I hope that your week also gets better. So, to kick us off today, in today's Bailey Babbles, I want to talk about those people like me who collect memorabilia and things, and why, if it makes you happy, you should do it. So, recently, I personally, and this is just the truth, I've gotten into collecting some Monster High stuff. I think it's very cool stuff. If it had been out when I was a kid, I would have been all about it because it's cute horror. All of the character names are wonderful, and I just think they're really nifty. And I also bought the Kylie Jenner Bratz doll. I'm not a Kardashians girly, but I just thought it was cool. Heavily discounted. Please know, I did not spend it's $100 on Amazon. I waited until it was a third of that. I did not. But I mean, if you have the money and you want to do that, that's also fine. But me personally, I could not drop that kind of money on it. And I just kind of want to say, do what makes you happy. If you aren't harming yourself or anybody else, go for it. If people make fun of you or laugh at you for it, just shrug your shoulders and then buy another shelf or buy another thing of command strips to hang them up on the wall, because life is too short, and I think that if little things like that make you happy, I say go for it. I love blind boxes. I love the Monster High dolls. I collect some Funko Pops. I don't collect. I'm a little picky, but I definitely bought the Count McNugget Funko Pop and the Comic-Con exclusive one that has the 3 buckets. My best friend Kara got me a couple of the Kerwin Nugget Buddies, and yeah, just do what makes you happy. That's my Bailey Babbles for today. Just do what makes you happy, man. As long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else, I say go for it. So that is the Bailey Babbles for today. Do the things that make you happy. So now that I'm done babbling, let's go ahead and move up to our weekly blog roundup. For those that are new around here, the B Movies channel is a continuation of the B Movies blog, which is just bmovies.blog. Just tap it in and you will find us. And so we post new pieces every Monday through Friday around 10 a.m. CT. Again, WordPress and I often get into a little bit of a fist fight, but it's around 10 a.m. CT every Monday through Friday. You can subscribe and have those sent directly to your mailbox if you want. And so this week over on the B Movies blog, we talked about Cowboy Carter last week in last week's video, but we have the Cowboy Carter review up, locked and loaded. Tuesday we talked about Dante's Inferno content / I casually paired a movie with each level of hell, which is one of the craziest and best ideas I've ever had. I had so much fun doing it, and there's a piece next week y'all are not ready for. Y'all are not ready for a piece that was inspired by this piece, and it is this upcoming piece is one of my favorite things I've ever done. If this piece and my Bo Burnham Inside review are my legacy, that's fine. 100% fine with that. So just get ready for that. On Wednesday we talked about bodily betrayal horror, so the eye, idle hands, anything where a body part goes crazy. On Thursday, we talked about alien horror, and I did extend it to creatures, just because there are some movies, like Slither and Deadly Spawn and Killer Clowns from Outer Space. There are other creatures, so I feel like alien is too specific, so it's creatures from outer space. And then Friday we had a Caitlin Deaver spotlight. I think Caitlin Deaver is really underrated. I know that she's been in a ton, but I still think she's kind of underrated. And I think that she just has a phenomenal range, and I really want to see her in more stuff. She was in one of my favorite horror movies of last year, No One Will Save You, which was in my favorite movies until Anatomy of a Fall knocked out, but I just think she's a delight. So just to recap, This week over on the B-Movies blog, you can catch my review of Cowboy Carter, Dante's Inferno content / pairing a movie with each ring of hell, which will be our deep dive today, bodily betrayal horror, alien horror, and a Caitlin Deaver spotlight. So next up, we have our Bite-Sized Sunday. These are just tiny reviews of content or things I want to talk about that I don't really have enough to say for a full piece, but I still want to give it a shout out or I want to talk about it further. And you can find those over at our Instagram, just at bmovies channel, same as our YouTube, every Sunday around 8 or 9 CT. And so the hint for this week is, and you only get the hints on YouTube, you don't get the hints anywhere else. So today's hint is, this movie gives a whole new meaning to the phrase death drop. And I'm very excited to talk about this movie. I really enjoyed this movie. So just a reminder, those only live on Instagram at bmovies channel, same as our YouTube. So now that the housekeeping is done, let's go into today's deep dive of Dante's Inferno content and pairing movies with each level. So the original plan was just to do a piece about Dante's Inferno content, because for some reason I thought there was a lot more, because I remember it's kind of like paper figures and puppets. I watched it, Dermot Mulroney is Dante, and I watched that in college. Not to date myself, but I actually requested that from my DVD queue on Netflix in college, so just do with that what you will, as Netflix is no longer making DVDs. Woof. But I knew that, and like the animated Dante's Inferno, but there is just not, I thought there would be so much more Dante's Inferno content, and there's not. And so I was like, how should I fluff this piece out? Because we write some short lists and things, but I'm like, this would be a new record. And so I thought, because this is how my brain works, what if we paired a movie with each level of hell, a la Lights, Camera, Albums? And so I did. And I had so much fun writing this piece. I had so much fun doing these pairings. And just for context, I think you can absolutely talk about religion and have fun doing it. CC, the Has Been Hotel piece that we did last week, Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss. And also, these don't quite follow LCA rules. What I mean by that is with Lights, Camera, Albums, we try not to repeat movies. I have a master doc of all the movies we've covered, we've paired so far. For those unfamiliar, we have a series on B Movies called Lights, Camera, Albums, where we take an album and pair each song with a movie. So on this one, there are movies that have been used in LCAs before, because this was a one-off, and so I don't think it counts. So without further ado, let's go circle by circle for one of the most insane ideas I've ever had. So let's start with Circle 1, Limbo, as Perfect Days. And to me, Perfect Days is absolutely about finding the beauty in life, but on a certain level, it is about being stuck, and it's kind of like being stuck in limbo. And I just thought that paired really nicely, and then I joked, I'm not aware of Hirayama's baptismal status, but it's not looking good. And so Circle 2 is Lust, as Pretty in Pink. To me, I thought of Lust because I immediately thought about Ducky, and I just thought about how much he wanted to be with Andy, and so that's just where my brain went. And I said, I bet you're really hoping that the devil would try a little tenderness. Next up, we have Gluttony as Eat, Pray, Love, and I just want to give a disclaimer here on this, and for any of these, I've been in recovery for EDs for years. So, like, please know, I would never joke about the way someone eats or anything in that vein. This is all for fun. I would never do that because I know what it's like to be in recovery for EDs. I get it. So just like as a disclaimer there. And I just did that because I just thought it was funny because the whole thing about Eat, Pray, Love is basically living in excess and rediscovering yourself. So next up, As greed, we have Saltburn, because Oliver is so obsessed. Like, he has this, like, really solid home life and, like, middle class upbringing, and that's just not good enough for him. And then he had to destroy the entire, like, Felix's entire family from the inside out. And so I joked that his punishment was having a tongue that was just too short to circle the drain for eternity. So for Circle 5, and just before I continue, y'all, the way I was cracking myself up, like, I'm still cracking myself up reading this. I hope y'all enjoyed this as much as I did, because this piece, it really did crack me up. So Circle 5, I have Anger Is Gone Girl, which, the devil works hard, but Amy Dunn works harder. And, we're sure that she's going to be running hell in no time, because she is just, while the rest of us have been playing checkers, she's playing chess. So as Circle 6, as Heresy, we have High School Musical. Because, they told them to stick to the status quo. They warned them to. And I even joke that High School Musical 2 is an actual portrayal of the Sixth Circle of Hell, where all the kids are forced to serve the elite for the rest of eternity. That's why Chad dances, even though he says he doesn't. In fact, they sing "We're all in this together" to brag about their heresy. And then I said, Kenneth Ortega, you have blood on your hands. Y'all, this got me. I'm sorry. Circle 7, I have Violence as the movie Crank. And I said, Chev, you should learn to keep those little muscular legs to yourself. I just thought, because Crank is so over the top, that it was just the perfect personification of violence, because it is so gratuitous. For Circle 8, we have Catch Me As You Can as Fraud. That is pretty self-explanatory, obviously. If you know the story of Catch Me If You Can, it is based on a true story. And it's about a gentleman who basically became a professional fraudster and would just pretend to be a doctor, a pilot, all kinds of things. And then Circle 9 is Treachery, we have from Justin to Kelly. And my example is Alexa, who she texts her ex-best friend's boyfriend to come to Florida on spring break. She kisses her best friend's love interest. And she also lies to Kelly about what Justin says. And so I just said, have fun being BFFs with Judas, sis. And then, so for the actual Dante's Inferno content, we have the Dante's Inferno that I mentioned, where it's like, I don't know exactly how to describe it. It's like paper, and I wouldn't say it was stop motion. It's like paper puppets is the best way I know how to there's probably a technical term, and I apologize, and I'm not meaning to, like, undercut the industry at all. But it's wonderful if you can find it. And then I have Dante's Inferno, an animated epic, which probably a lot of you are familiar with. And then for the honorable mentions, I have What Dreams May Come and 7, because they're kind of variations upon, like, the levels of hell, what hell is, especially with 7 being the 7 deadly sins. And then just What Dreams May Come to me, because, Robin Williams' character is, like, led through to find his wife. It gives me big Dante's Inferno vibes. So that, you can check out that piece in full over on the Movie Movies blog. I'll also link it down below. Please read it. I had a lot of fun writing it, and I hope you have a lot of fun reading it. So next up, we have special features, and this is just a little section for things I want to talk about. It's where we update all of our favorite analog horror and horror ARGs, and we just have a good time here. And so the first thing I want to talk about is, we talked about this last week, and this is the last time I'm going to be talking about it. So Courtney Miller and Shane Topp are married. And the fact that Courtney confirmed it to people.com is just chef's kiss. Because if you're familiar with Smosh, you get it. And if you're not, for the Smosh lore, Amanda Lee Canto gets teased all the time at Smosh because she has a people.com subscription. So this is the perfect ending. I fully believe this was intentional, that's who they confirmed to. I think it's just the best thing in the world. And so Courtney has posted one last round of wedding photos, and she thanked everyone and asked asked us to respect their privacy, and thanked everyone for it. She said that they'll share more details as/when they're ready. So congrats again to Shane Topp and Courtney Miller. And everyone just be cool. Just be cool. That's all. I've seen a lot of people be cool, but just be cool. And so the next thing I kind of want to talk about in this section is, so like I'm a marketing girly, but I want to talk about this return to guerrilla and like unique marketing and horror that we've been seeing lately. Like last year we saw it with Saw 10, where there was the riff on Nicole's AMC commercial that still makes me laugh. It's so good. If you haven't seen it, you can watch it on YouTube. It's so good. And, like we've seen things like this with the Blair Witch Project and Cannibal Holocaust, and, we've just seen it over the years, but I've really seen this resurgence, especially with the big three I want to talk about today are Three Body Problem, The Strangers, and The First Omen. So first of all, The First Omen released this poster that was like a basket of Easter eggs, and it had like one black Easter egg, and it's like it only takes one. It has like a rotten egg in the basket. There's also, I believe it was with Bloody Disgusting, may have been Fangoria, but they did this like kind of found footage TikTok-y style video where it's a gender reveal, but instead of like, and I'm just saying pink or blue, gender is a construct, but like the pink for the girl, blue for the boy, it's black smoke and like a priest shows up, and it's so good. And then the strangers, they've had the three people as the three strangers taking photos around the country, like they did it, they've done it in multiple places, and I think that's awesome. They also did like the rain camera video. And then Three Body Problem, they had like the drone show, and they had a massive display at a certain festival I'm not going to mention because of people that they worked with, but they had this massive display. And I just think it's so cool that we're seeing this big return to guerrilla style marketing and just like these unique marketing tactics. I think it's so cool and so creative. And I know that we have a lot of big horror releases. Oh, another one too, like Long Legs, how they did the trailers, how they were just like those little analog horror style videos where we didn't know what it was. Like we knew what it was, but like they didn't announce the movie title for 2 to 3 videos. I love this return, or like how Sydney Sweeney watched Immaculate with like 3 pastors. I love this marketing wave that we're seeing, especially within like the horror community. And I can't wait to see it because, again, we have a lot of big releases coming up this year. And so I'm sure that there's still some more tricks up some marketing team sleeves. So the last thing I want to talk about in special features today, and I may be the only one that finds this interesting, but I think it's fascinating and I think it's very cool. So I'm going to talk about it. So as many of us know, Cartoon Network left its famous Burbank office last year after 20 years. And if you weren't aware, in their stairwell, there's a ton of graffiti, and it's from past and current illustrators. It's how some, like, pilots, like, it's where the ideas came from. There have been a lot of famous signatures, and it's so, like, I've never seen it, but I've heard about it. And so now they've decided to preserve the magic, and you can take a tour online. And it's so cool. It also hits me, we've talked about like how the song like Landslide like kind of stabs me in the gut, because things like this, to me, I'm so sentimental and so nostalgic that things like this just punch me in the gut. But I also just think it's so cool. And so I will link below. It's cnsstudiostairwell.com, but I will link it below, and I just think it's something nifty. I just think it's cool. If no one else thinks it's cool, I do. So that is going to do us for special features. So last up today, we have another short video. I looked around and there just was not a lot. I just forgot how to talk. There just wasn't a lot out this week. And I think it's been a long week for a lot of people. And so I'm giving us all some grace. But we do have several subtitles. For those who don't know subtitles, these are just little pieces of news from around the internet, like movie announcements, things in that vein. And so I do have several for us today. And so the Cuckoo trailer has dropped. This is one of my most anticipated summer releases. This and Longlegs are probably my two big summer horror releases that I'm really looking forward to. Like, I'm excited about the watch, but like, if I had to pick like two big horror releases that I was excited about this summer, it would be Cuckoo and Longlegs. And so I think the Cuckoo trailer looks great. Dan Stevens is making his rounds and becoming a Scream Queen. Totally fine with that because he's also in Abigail. He's in Cuckoo. I believe he's in another movie that's coming out either this year or that I've heard about. But yeah, so like, I'm very stoked about it. If you have not seen it, definitely check it out. There's a new Matrix movie in development from Drew Goddard, but it doesn't look like the Wachowski sisters are involved at all. So we'll see what happens, because I do feel like they are so synonymous with the world of the Matrix, so we'll see what happens. The first images of Christian Bale and Jessie Buckley in Maggie Gyllenhaal's Bride of Frankenstein have been released. I think they look really cool. I'm really excited to see, because I've heard it's like set in like 1930s New York is what I believe, so it's going to be like a big reimagining, and I'm super stoked. There's a Legally Blonde spinoff series in development by, wait for it, Reese Witherspoon and Josh Schwartz and Stephanie Savage. And if you're like, is it that Josh Schwartz and Stephanie Savage? Yes. From the OC Gossip Girl? Yes. So I'm actually really pumped about it, and I hope that it's good. Next up, The Crow has been pushed back to August 23rd from June 7th, which to me doesn't really bode well. But again, I'm going in optimistic. I don't think it should be remade, but like, let's just stay positive. But to me, that's not a good sign. Next up, we're going to get a new Blair Witch from Lionsgate and Blumhouse. Of course I'll see it. This is another one like, the Blair Witch Project is lightning in a bottle, and I don't think we'll ever be able to replicate that. And like, I really do love the second one. I will defend Adam Wingard's. I don't think Adam Wingard's is as bad as everyone says it is, and especially the whole thing with the time, how they present time within it. I think it's great. Am I nervous? Yes. But I will still, we all know I will still go see it. Rumors are swirling. I'm actually really excited about this. Rumors are swirling that Nia DaCosta is being eyed to direct the second 28 Years Later. For those who don't know, there's a trilogy, Danny Boyle and Alex Garland. Alex Garland is coming back to write, and I believe he's directing one of them. But it may just be Danny Boyle, and Alex Garland may just be writing again. But I love Nia DaCosta's Candyman. I think she's an excellent director, and I think she could really do a good job with a 28 Years Later movie, for sure. Next up, Blumhouse has confirmed that a sequel to FNAF will be coming next year, officially. And then lastly, Paramount is going to make a new scary movie. Are the scary movies a guilty pleasure of mine? Yes. Do I still laugh at the hat scene in Scary Movie 3? Yes. I think that is one of the funniest scenes in a movie ever. I think that's one of the funniest sequences. But I'm cautiously optimistic about this one. So let us see what happens, but it's coming whether or not I like it. So, just to recap. Just to recap my brain, I like jumped timelines for a second. I was like, ooh. So I think that will do us for this week. Again, I know it's a short video, but I already found some stuff I want to talk about next week. So we have that coming up. There should be, I believe, some Welcome Home updates coming. Don't quote me to that. There's some, Martin dropped some art for Walton Files. Obviously, like, he is more than allowed to take his time because he works very hard on it. But I do think we will have the next installment of the Walton Files sooner rather than later, and I am very excited for it. But yeah, so I think that will do us for today. So to end it off, be sure to follow me over on Instagram at Lisa_Frankenstein_. Follow Elliot over on Instagram at reading.with.red. Follow us over on Instagram at bmovies channel. Be sure to subscribe to this channel if you're not subscribed. It's free. Be sure to give us a like if you feel so inclined, and a comment if you're feeling frisky. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. I hope, again, that you have a wonderful week. I know that eclipse is eclipsing and that retrograde is retrograding, but we're going to get through it. And on that note, all that's left to do is fade to black.